Hello, everybody. Welcome to Boss Rush Podcast. I'm your host, the energetic and enlightening Eddie V. Joining me, as always, is the wise Wisconsinite, Mr. Jesse Douglas.
How's it going?
So good. I was so happy to call you from my car. It's just like we could probably get my car just like, yeah. So, one day I'm gonna be at Taco Bell and I'm gonna call you and you're gonna be in the Taco Bell line and we're gonna be chit chatting about our food. But of course, it is Bossman himself, Mr. Corey Deary.
Hello. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me on this Saturday afternoon. I appreciate it.
I am literally trying to recover from our Zelda talk yesterday night.
I know. It was such a good talk. She's just a treat. She's just a real joy.
She is.
You know, I mean, like, we have a lot of people on that are fun to talk to and hang out with and stuff. I don't know, man. There's just something like, just a treat to talk to. So, she's for those who are wondering and didn't listen to the Nintendo Power Block, she's a blog writer over at another Zelda podcast, and she's been on a few episodes, and she's probably going to be joining us, you know, more often than not on Nintendo Power Block. So she's awesome. So yeah, go check that episode out. It was a good time. We talked about a Zelda trilogy, a Breath of the Wild overarching trilogy. So
yes, and we deep dive and bounced off. Go listen to it. It's up on our YouTube page.
Yeah,
go check
but this episode's not about her. It's about our special guest, Ed.
Yes. Oh, and I'm so happy to have my special guest celebrating Pride Month with me and everybody else at Boss Rush. I just love this guy. He is the host of the Weekly Cooldown. And if you don't know about this podcast, you are not getting your life. You are missing out. He speaks from a LGBTQ kind of viewpoint, and his podcast is phenomenal. It's so good. Everybody, please welcome the host of the Weekly Pod Cooldown, Copy Jace.
Hello.
Welcome.
Actually, what I do is hello.
Yes, trademark it. Yes. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. I took my cat to the vet. That was like a 1-minute ordeal that we had to drive 20 minutes for.
It's always a good time.
Right? Yeah, it was fine though. She cried a lot on the way there because she doesn't like getting in the car. But on the way back, she was really quiet. And then we got home and we gave her a little extra food for being a good girl at the doctor's. And now I'm here doing this.
Yes. Yes. And so happy Pride to you, Copy G's. You know, me and you celebrated in different ways and everything. And you know, Corey and Jesse, you guys
are heteros.
Yes,
they're heteros.
We're breeders. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
They support us, and hopefully they celebrate in their own way. You know, seeing more people of color and more LGBTQ people, creative content and stuff. Like, just you guys support. You know, so
absolutely.
Yeah, we've been having that conversation a lot recently. Where, you know, I mean, we try to be diverse and, like, you know, have guests on that are different from, you know, us, especially me and Jesse, right? But we've been having that conversation a lot more aside from what's going on in the world, the real world, right? Like, we want to have more gay people on. We want to have more people of color on. We want to have more women on. Like, we just want to have different voices, and, you know, I'm glad you're here. Honestly, this is
thank you.
This is a treat. Really.
I guess I can speak to that though. It's hard even for me, being an out gay black man, to always get anyone who isn't, like, not to be rude, but white and straight, because it is a kind of a saturated market for podcasters, for streamers, for gamers, and it can be rough to find, you know, some diversity in there. But when you do, you know, you kind of want to latch onto it. Make sure you always follow up with them. Make sure you always keep up with them, see what they're doing, promote their stuff, and they'll return in kind. They're, we're not out to ostracize any fellow gamers. This is not Gamergate. We are in it together. From straights to gays to trans and everything else in between. We are in it together as gamers. Gamers with a Y, though. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So before we get into the housekeeping, Common James, can you want to talk about the weekly cooldown and what the podcast is about?
Sure. So the tagline is kind of the show where we get to know the gaming news of the week and we get to know our guest. So every week I try to have maybe 1 to 2, sometimes 3 guests on. And what we really want to do is not only get to know the news and kind of break it down so that, even the non-gamiest gamer could get in on it, but also to kind of get to know other people as gamers, not just as people who play games, but rather like what games do they play and through getting to know their opinions about the news, you also get to know them as a person, as a gamer, and, we go into politics, so you get to know their politics a little bit. So it's a little bit of everything, but it's always centered around gaming. And I think that's kind of my way of bringing in the gaming news thing, which I love because I'm a journalist by trade, but also bringing in my own kind of fun, almost semi-comedic kind of twist on it, because I do like to talk a lot, I do like to joke a lot, and I like to get to know people. So I kind of incorporate all my loves into one, and lo and behold, it's my podcast.
Well, that is amazing. Well, we're going to get into some housekeeping. You guys can follow us on Twitter at Boss Rush Podcast and on Facebook and Instagram at Boss Rush Podcast. Join our Discord, Xbox console community, and our Destiny clan. And, our live shows that we do for most of our podcasts. You guys could tune in also on live on Mixer and Twitch at Boss Rush Games Live, all one word, to chat with us live on air. You can also find all of our content on bossrushgames.com. We want you guys to join us on Sunday Night Arsenal for the pre-show, the live podcast recording, and what's on Game Pass. And you can see that on Mixer and Twitch. Also to remember to check out our family of shows, podcasts, and videos on youtube.com/BossRushGames, podcast services, and of course on BossRushGames.com. You guys, it has been a week of news, but one of the biggest and major news stories is that the PlayStation 5 got revealed. They showed off some new games that are coming from some of their smaller first party studios, some indies, they showed us Godfall, a game that got announced, the first PlayStation 5 game that got announced last year at the Game Awards. They actually showed some gameplay, and then they revealed the system, and we have thoughts and everything. I do want to say that Celeste did join us also on Thursday. We and Corey, we did a live reaction to it. So us three, we watched it, talked about the games that they show, and gave our feelings about the system itself. So do go check that out on our YouTube page and on our website. But Kami Jace, what are your thoughts on this? Did they, first of all, did they succeed? Did they really sell people on the PlayStation 5, or do you think they sold people on the PlayStation 5?
So, succeed is a word that I think I might avoid, because it's really hard to measure that based on the reactions of people on the internet, because you have the one crowd who says, the Xbox still looks stronger. Then they list all the specs of the Xbox and all the specs of the PS5, and it does look to be a little bit like Xbox might have an edge. But then you have all the PS5 stan boys who are really, really holding on to Sony, holding on to PlayStation. So it's hard to say if they succeeded. What I will say, though, is that based on based on the memes alone, they have, I think, more staying power than Xbox has right now, because they can constantly be in the zeitgeist for having a system that looks a little weird. And that, I think, is just a check mark in the right box for Sony and for PlayStation. I think the reveal and I think the event was very well put together.
Yes.
And I also think that the IPs and the games they decided to show us was very well thought out. Simply because I think they know their player base better than most other companies do. Gran Turismo is a like longtime Sony PlayStation kind of like heart, right? It comes together in a way where like Forza Motorsport and those other racing games don't really match up. Gran Turismo, I think, was released in '98 for the first PlayStation 1, and has since been a staple of PlayStation for years. So showing Gran Turismo 7 as a means of not only saying, here's Gran Turismo again, but also showing off the graphics. I mean, it looked really, really clean and really crisp, right? Yeah. Was a great way to start out, aside from showing us Grand Theft Auto 5. It was a great way to start out the whole presentation.
Yeah, the thing with Gran Turismo though is that it has a very history, like it has its ups and downs, and with Forza it has its ups and downs, but the ups and downs is that people care about Horizon than Motorsport.
Yeah,
it is it's very weird, and that's only because they split the series. Don't get me wrong. Gran Turismo, you literally have to know your cars.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
Sorry, not to cut you off, but I think the way Gran Turismo has always spoken to that audience is like, I kind of equivalent it to like people who only buy like racing games and are hardcore car people buy Gran Turismo or Forza Motorsport, right?
Gear HUDs.
They're basically like. It's almost like the Madden conundrum where people love to play Madden, but they don't call themselves gamers, right? They just play Madden, or they just play Gran Turismo, or they just play Call of Duty. Like, I feel like Gran Turismo is actually in that area of... Sorry, my kid's kitchen thing is going off in the... just like randomly. There's a ghost in there. But it's... I think, honestly, out of this whole presentation, I feel like Gran Turismo was actually, like, the poorest showing out of everything, just in my opinion, because, like, I kind of, every time a console launches, you have to have that car game to show off how great the console looks, right? Like, that's the biggest stereotype in new console launches.
But like, even for, like, Series X, they had dirt.
Yeah, but I think this is a little different, though, because dirt's not as... Gran Turismo-y is Gran Turismo, right? Like, I feel like...
as for a car game.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. And then in July, I'm sure we're going to see Forza Motorsport 8, 7, 8. Yeah. What number are they on? 37?
Well, I guess the interesting thing I picked out about Gran Turismo in particular is that, to your point, it is one of those games where... gearheads will pick it up and they're like, oh, I got my car game. I'm really excited to drive virtually. But they made a point to tagline this one. I don't think I've seen it been taglined before. Gran Turismo 7 was taglined in the showcase as the real driving simulator. So I think they are at least trying to reach out.
That was a tagline used for the very first game.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, and then they haven't really used it since. I think, with everything that they showed, even at the beginning where they used the PlayStation 1 kind of Sony orange, like the orange box thing, they were really reaching out to the history of PlayStation. And I feel like this is another one of those kind of like nods to that original lineup of PlayStation games.
It feels like they're reaching out for... us older people who have been with the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and then maybe dropped off with 3 and 4, and also kind of reaching for all those other, the Xbox players or the general just PC groups who have been like, I don't really feel like there's a game out there for me. And also, like, you guys don't really do simulators, right? I can get all my cool simulators on PC. Well, you got Gran Turismo, right? Right? The
Yeah.
because
racing sim.
because is Drive Club part of Sony's first party? Or was
Yeah, but they pulled the plug on that game real fast. So.
okay?
But yeah, I mean, technically, yes, it is part of Sony's first party. It was what Evolution did that, and then they kind of closed Evolution, and then they reopened as Evo for someone else, and made that other car game, and just didn't do well for them at all, which I feel bad because MotorStorm was a really cool racing franchise.
Oh, I love the second MotorStorm. That one was really good.
Yeah, that was the first. I think that was like the first or second game I got with my PlayStation 3 was MotorStorm. I got Resistance and that, I think. So,
so Jesse, so like me and you, we was conversating here and there. But you probably came back and rewatched everything. Do you think it sold? You think the PlayStation 5 sold a lot of people? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, like people who know me, know that I have not been in the PlayStation consoles for the last 2 generations, and like just my thing that I've always said about with Sony is that I've just like, it seems like a lot of the times maybe one game out of all the shows that they would show or whatever, showing off their games, maybe occasionally 1 or 2 games would show up that I was interested in. But honestly, with this show, like, as far as selling it for me personally, I think they probably couldn't have did a better job of showing stuff that is like, honestly, it felt like they made the show. They're like, okay, we've got to win Jesse over. Right. This is what we will do. We will show these games. And because I don't, it's not that I don't like Spider-Man. I just I didn't really care too much for the first game, but when they showed Miles Morales, I'm like, boom, yes, this is what I want. Like, we've been playing, as the Peter Parker Spider-Man, for a long time, and it's always Peter Parker. They have such a big, vast variety of stuff in the Spider-Man universe alone that I just want some of that more obscure stuff to be done, and boom, right away I was like, yes, I want to play this. And they just kept on showing more and more and more games, and none of them looking like the other one. And this is something that I've been wanting from Sony for a long time, and I'm really glad they did it before this, to show off this new console, because I definitely am going to get a PS5 when it comes out. Now there's still some things that I really want to know more about, as far as a little bit more in depth about the backwards compatibility and things like that. And there's still some things that they need to speak about that we really don't have a lot of information about. But as far as going into the next generation and showing us games that we will have, I think they did an excellent job of selling the console. Because we got some big games like Horizon Zero Dawn 2 and Spider-Man stuff alone. Those 2 games alone are console sellers. And then they had a lot of great games from other studios outside, like the Project Athia, like I thought that game looked phenomenal. They threw some like new stuff in there too that really no one would have expected or even thought about. Like they had that one really interesting, almost like Fortnite style kind of like destruction derby game.
Destruction All Star.
Yeah, like
All-Star Destruction.
yeah. It like I at first when I seen it, I didn't know what to think about
I literally
it.
thought it was Twisted Metal. Direction.
Yeah, I didn't, only because like Twisted Metal is so dark. I don't think it would play as well doing it like that. Because that's more for the hardcore.
Right.
Like
I think it was the vibe of it. There was something about I think the car battles and not so much the people that was like jumping out and running. It was just like this feels very Twisted Metal. And so I thought it felt like they're going in a new direction with Twisted Metal.
Yeah. Do we know who made that? Like I don't remember what company. Is it the people who made Twisted Metal?
They didn't announce.
I think the studio was called Lucid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I thought it was. I thought it was going to be like this new take on Twisted Metal, and like a 21st century style, like almost millennial or Gen Z version of Twisted Metal. And I half expected to see some sort of like hipster Sweet Tooth pop out in a really cool looking ice cream truck. Honestly, like I really thought that's what this was going to be, and it was almost taking a, not to compare everything to Microsoft's games, but like a bleeding edge approach where you just have all these different characters that are so different and unique, but all kind of fit in this thing. And I was like, I know Twisted Metal fans would be really mad at this, but I think this would be a cool twist, no pun intended, on Twisted Metal. I think adding new characters and maybe sprinkling in some new takes on old characters would be really cool, but that didn't go that way.
Yeah. I think the thing that kind of sets Destruction All-Stars apart from Twisted Metal is the idea that if you are outside of the car, or once you are outside of the car, you're still in the fight. Because you can do like your melee attacks against the other players who are in the arena with you. You can ride on top of cars. I saw some action bit they did where someone was standing in the middle and two cars were coming at them, and they jumped over the car, so both the cars collided on each other. So it's got a similar game style, and it seems to be that kind of arena fighter type thing, like Overwatch or something like that. But it takes its own spin on it. And I also remember the first thing out of my mouth that I said when I saw the characters was, those are some really good looking people of color. So I was like, all right, I'm in. I'm all the way in.
Yeah. I didn't know what to think at first, like whether I liked it or not, but I did watch that one again, and yeah, I think I'm definitely in for it, because like I do like Wreckfest is like one of my favorite games to play right now on Xbox.
We're gonna have to make a day, Jesse, for Wreckfest, because I need to start it. I need to start it with you. But before we go on, Corey, what are your thoughts? Do you think it sold people on the PlayStation 5?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it sold me on the PlayStation 5. Like I was like at first I was kind of worried. I was like, they're opening with Grand Theft Auto, really? This is where they're going with this event. And then they showed kind of like a highlight reel of PlayStation 4 stuff, and I was like, is this their way of saying that it's backwards compatible with some games? Like, I don't really understand where they're going with it. But after that opening thing and Jim Ryan stopped talking, which could care less about when he speaks, honestly. He's just kind of like us. I don't know. He's kind of boring, to be 100% honest. But when they showed that Miles Morales trailer, I've watched that trailer 10 times by now, and I was one of those people who played Spider-Man and was like, yeah, this is fun. I don't know why people think this is like the greatest game of all time or anything, but it's fun, right? Like, I like swinging around. But I mean, even as someone who doesn't read a lot of comic books or anything, I've heard Peter Parker's story 1,000 times, like Jesse said, and I'm like, I'm ready.
We know the story beats.
I'm like, I know who Miles Morales is, but I don't know him like we know Peter Parker, right? And this is just so much cool. Plus, like, the music in the trailer was like really, like, I was like, I like, just unconsciously I felt my head just start bobbing to the music. I was like, oh, this is cool. This is so cool. And like when you see him walking down the street and like he like kind of puts his hood up on his shoulder walking down the street, I was like, this game's got a vibe to it that I just want to be in this world and play this again. And it actually like made me go back to Spider-Man PS4 and kind of play around with it again, because I'm like, I kind of want to finish this so I'm kind of caught up when Miles Morales comes out. You know, and
Right.
I know there's going to be a PS5 version of Spider-Man, and hopefully they do the smart delivery thing where if you already own it, they kind of just give it to you. But I was really feeling the Miles Morales thing. And then from there, the pacing, I thought after, like, starting with the Miles Morales trailer, I thought the pacing was almost perfect to a T. It really did the thing that we've, on this show for years, have been saying, you know, Sony's a gritty third-person action studio, like a company, like that's all we're getting from them, aside from small things like maybe Ratchet and Clank and a Little Big Planet and stuff like that. But, you know, you think of God of War, The Last of Us, Uncharted, Horizon. These are all third-person action games. Even Bloodborne and The Order and some of these games, Days Gone, Death Stranding, all third-person gritty action games, and everything in this trailer spoke to someone different. And like, I get that not every game was for me, right? But the pacing was good. I enjoyed all the trailers. Every single trailer kept me interested, even the ones I didn't like the Bugsnax one. I thought was just this oddity in this whole thing. I was like,
that was a direct-to-home DVD.
Yeah, I was like, this is a weird, stupid-looking game, but I'm kind of interested because it's so stupid-looking. So, you know, and then, obviously, the game that truly sold me on PlayStation 5, obviously, was Horizon, because it's the first one is my favorite.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite games of all time. And
me and Corey talked about this on Review. We were just... the art direction that Guerrilla Games has went with, like they so really put so much better. It's exactly like Horizon Zero Dawn. Love it. It's my second favorite PlayStation 4 game on that system. Just seeing them like design this world, like I'm sorry, they put Red Dead Redemption 2 to shame. If we're talking about art and environment, Guerrilla put them to shame.
And like,
but
just to play off of you, Ed, like from a studio that is known for Killzone to come out and like their first attempt at an open world kind of action RPG, Horizon was phenomenal. Yeah, there's some things that okay. I wish Aloy felt a little bit more agile. I wish the climbing was more like Breath of the Wild, you know, because as someone who played Breath of the Wild first and then going to that game and realizing you can't climb everything was kind of like, oh, jeez, this feels archaic already. But I love Aloy. I love the type of story they were telling. I thought the concept was interesting and everything. So yeah, I going west and seeing the underwater stuff, seeing the desert.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. The desert stuff. How big? Like my first thought was, how big is this game? We're going into a desert, and then we're going to San Francisco, and then we're going. Well, I'm assuming is the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Underwater areas. Like, how big is this game going to be? Because Horizon 1 was a pretty large game. I mean, it wasn't like a Witcher size game or anything, or Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but it was still relatively big. And you know, that's the game. Like I told you, I've told both of Jesse and Ed, right? Like, PlayStation, I'll buy a PlayStation 5 when Horizon comes out.
Right,
but
like,
there was other things in this sequence of like questioning me buying a Series X first because of, you know, the Sackboy game looks like Mario 3D World, right? Like I love that game. Like I said before, Miles Morales looked cool. Kenna was like
Yes, that looks so
is
beautiful.
now maybe my most anticipated game for that system. You know,
Right.
they got 2 Bethesda games console exclusively. Like, not that I'm really interested in that, but that's a cool get for them. You know, so this might be the most impressive console reveal I think I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
It, I feel like this is the best. This is what we all wanted Sony to do at every E3.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just to show us a diverse. I've talked about showing us a diverse of games with different art styles, and they knocked it with this presentation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Little Devil game. Just seeing
Yeah,
that
that
little
game looks
thing.
so amazing.
Yes. You mentioned Kimma, the art direction and the art direction in Horizon 2. Resident Evil 8 haven't still yet it's first person, but I'm like they're stepping away, and I made a prediction on our show that Chris Redfield is coming back, but he's evil, and so you're gonna have to fight him. And just enough, it looks like you're going to be having to go through him. We don't know yet or anything. I did predict that Resident Evil 8 was going to be shown there. Resident Evil Village, that doesn't just sound so weird.
It's because of the Roman numerals.
Yeah.
They didn't have a whole lot of choices, but
I
it
wonder
makes
what they're going to do
sense,
for
though.
9 now.
It makes sense though, because I did honestly I got some RE4 vibes from it.
Yeah.
Because like the whole village of like, you know, like old timey looking people and stuff like that. It I don't know why, but it gave me some RE4 vibes.
You're actually right to pick up on that, because what a lot of Resident Evil fans, myself included, believe is that it is a revisit to the original idea for Resident Evil 4, which it centered around Leon having these kind of hallucinations instead of dealing with, you know, the plagas and villagers coming after him. But the villager aspect was still in Resident Evil 4 to begin with, just alongside this hallucination bit. So now you have that being played up a little bit in 8, or Village. So you're right to pick up on that. And it's going to be interesting to see how it ties into the larger arc of Resident Evil, given that 7 was such, in my opinion, a larger departure from the narrative they've been telling from 1 to 6, and with all the other games in between. It's going to be interesting to see how the virus aspect, the parasite aspect, plays into the hallucinations, the idea that the villagers are, once again, the villagers are after you for some messed up reason, I'm sure. So yeah, I mean, villages aren't just for Leon now.
I was actually. Sorry. Go ahead, Ed.
Pagmata, or Pagmata, whatever that one is, the space one. It looks like I told Corey and Jesse, I'm like, this looks like a mixture of the Resident Evil hair with the little girl and Vanquish 2. And then looking at it, I was just like, someone developed Gravity Rush, because was it Gravity Rush, the one on PlayStation?
Yeah, Gravity Rush was on.
Yeah. When they were falling in the air, it had that feel when they touched and she flew back to it in the eye. I'm like, this is Gravity Rush or something. Just like, and I'm all here for what they have to offer with that, because I'm like, yeah, that's on my list. But Corey, you was gonna say something about Resident Evil. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually, just from like the supernatural stuff, I was kind of getting Code Veronica vibes from it. Just, from the way that some of the characters were dressed, and kind of like the just the overall kind of filter on the game. And I know that Resident Evil 7 had one of those kind of grossy filters on it too, to make the game feel more ominous and stuff. But I don't know, that's kind of the vibe I got. But the Resident Evil 4 stuff obviously makes sense too, being set in a village. So that was all I was really going to say was just commenting on the previous discussion.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
Yeah. And I think I think this is why, and I think I mentioned that what Microsoft with the first presentation that Microsoft showed with the 30-party games, that it was missing what Sony had to offer. But we still love the console look of Series X, and it's the vice versa with this, where the games looks phenomenal, but the console looks like a wireless router. It looks there's
It
something
looks strange.
it looks strange, and I understand what they were trying to go for, but I was telling Corey, I was just like, if they took the white part out and had that just design with the blue coming out, if when you turn the power on, they have the controller symbols on it and it light up through there, and you could just probably have like a blue kind or white kind of disc drop. And even if they wanted to make that part white with the blue coming out, that would have still look cool. With it. And it was just like just the way that it looked. I'm just like, that you guys could have simplified this. And I feel like Series X, I still think the Wii looks better than the PlayStation 5. I'm sorry.
the Wii?
Y'all could. Yes, the literal Wii, the one in white. When they first showed it
I didn't
off,
think the Wii looked ugly. People not like the Wii when it came out?
People don't like anything.
Well, that's fair. Fair. I stand corrected.
When it comes to having a white console, I think that sleek design of when they first showed the Wii was very impressive, and I still think to this very day, you can have great games and everything, but sometimes, yes, you are going for a really different modern thing, and you got to think about all the components that have to fit into a console. But I was just like, white, just that out thing, because everybody started putting the Yu-Gi-Oh! Kaiba.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure what the popped collar is on the PlayStation 5, but.
Yeah, and then people were just joking around, saying, putting pieces of paper around a router, and said that like my brother got the PlayStation 5 and stuff, and it was just like. Now I will say someone did go far with the Xbox Series X. They put the Twin Towers, with this they had the Series X Twin Towers, and fire coming out of it and stuff. And I was just like, okay, that's a little bit too far. I'm like, I understand you're trying to be, as a joke, and you might not think it's disrespectful, but I'm like, a lot of people lost their lives to that. So let's not move this one around. You have every right to create it. I can't say nothing else about that. But I think with this next gen, or with this current generation coming not to a close yet, but kind of evolving, because some people still feel like there are great games that they're going to come up with some amazing graphics. And Series X and PlayStation 5 is going to continue that with some enhancements. I think I am getting PlayStation 5, no doubt. I feel like Series X though has an advantage over PlayStation 5. We'll see how each launch games are going to come out. And also shout out to Sony for actually having games ready to go up to 22. So that's really good. And when we see what Microsoft has to offer, everybody get your coins up. Get ready for what Nintendo's going to be, what Nintendo's going to have, what Sony's going to have, what Microsoft's going to have, even with PC with their graphics cards and stuff. And people are, if the PC stuff is ready to go, we'll see how Cyberpunk 2077 does in the future. Like I think this fall and winter, I think we all have an idea of what game is going to be. How it gets executed though is what we're all going to wait and see for. I know we're all thinking about price and everything, but we'll see. So,
one last thing I wanted to add that. Now I know, Corey, when you guys were doing the reveal talk or whatever, you guys were doing the live watch or whatever, you had mentioned about Ratchet and Clank, the whole like going through those portal things and stuff, of that being something that you probably wouldn't be able to do on the PS4. That's the thing is I do definitely want Sony to be held to their word about that kind of stuff, about the claiming that all these games that they're going to make for this PS5 won't be able to be wouldn't have been able to be played on the PS4. You know, because we're in a really rough time when it comes to money, and you know, to force people to just write out without any, you know, time period to kind of let people ease into it, just force people to have to right away buy a new console. You better be delivering on that claim. And I want proof of it, because it's, you know, it's a bad time to be a like, you have to buy this.
Well, and this is for any console, really. When you're going to market stuff for it, you're going to be held accountable for it. And that's why I talk about Series X. I'm like, give me that 4K 60. Don't make me choose, because it shouldn't come out after the fact that you say that, and then when it's released, I have to choose. You said nothing about the choosing part during your marketing. Everybody has seen that with Stadia. You all promised this stuff, and out of the gate, it's not there. So if we're going to hold Sony to it, I hold Nintendo to everything they say. I hold Microsoft and Sony to everything that they say. If you're going to market this stuff, you better deliver. Now, if you can't deliver at the time when you're marketing out, we will all forgive you if you mention something that is something that we're planning to roll out.
Just be just be open and honest about it, right? Like, I think
transparent.
Just be transparent about it. Like, I think that's something that Microsoft has been very good at, you know, in the last few years. Nintendo maybe not so much, although they don't really have anything that they're like, you got to get this. I think the biggest thing for Nintendo is the Joy-Con issues, right? Like, that's and they kind of refuse to acknowledge it. But I think everything that Sony delivered or showed today or this week was something that I think they were true to their word on most of it. You know, I think that the only one is like the Miles Morales stuff, which I think Insomniac came out and kind of clarified on Twitter that it is going to be a kind of Lost Legacy PS5 style game in the Spider-Man universe, kind of expanding on what Spider-Man PS4 did, right? And there will be an enhanced PlayStation 5 version of Spider-Man PS4. So that was good, but you know, I think Sony at this point, I think they are delivering on their message that they believe in console generations, and that moving forward, the games that they develop will only be for PlayStation 5. And, you know, that I don't really know, in this weird era of like digital games and how things carry forward and not, like, the only thing that they didn't clarify was how backwards compatibility and like their version of smart delivery is going to work if they choose to go that route.
Yeah. In the comments, I'm gonna let you say something. I do wonder also if Sony changed their thought process about PlayStation 5, saying that they're only going to cater to hardcore gamers, because what they show looked like this is not for hardcore gamers. This is for anybody and everybody. So it's now that messaging has changed. And I think it may be because of Nintendo and Microsoft on how they're going to be delivering their content and stuff. That, you know, Nintendo always wants to have, you know, when they put stuff out, it's for everybody. Some of the games that Microsoft showed, or the third party stuff that they show, is more towards hardcore gamers. But then you think of Grounded, you think of Forza, you think of Battletoads, and you think of some of the ID at Xbox, but like even some of the first party stuff that Microsoft is doing, if they could, I think wasn't they supposed to be doing a skate game? Was that
I think it was Sessions. It wasn't Skate. I think it was called Sessions, right?
Yeah, Session.
Yeah, and because I wonder if that is first party for Microsoft, or even if they're publishing it, that's a game for everybody. And if Microsoft definitely, when they show their presentation in July, if they could knock it out that their first party is so diverse that it's for everybody, it's now going to be in the hands of. I think we realize that gaming now is definitely for everybody, and just having stuff for hardcore. It doesn't work, because sometimes the hardcore people who say they're going to buy a lot of stuff doesn't match numbers. Sometimes doesn't match. Comedy, what you think?
Oh, I mean, I agree basically. I don't really have much to say about companies being held accountable just yet. I think that it's commonplace for companies to kind of say, we're going to give you this, and then say, oh, but hold on, not yet, right? They're always kind of like wishy-washy, a little bit touchy, hard to read. So I'm not entirely sure I have anything to say about that just yet. I mostly want to see how it all rolls out. I want to see price points, and then I'll have like big brain ideas.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to get into the discussion about disc versus discless, the pros and cons for it. And me and Jesse was talking about it and everything, and I was just like, you know what, this is going to be a good conversation. I'm like, so we're going to all give 3 pros about it and then 3 cons about it.
Can I start?
So yes, Jesse, go ahead, because you had thoughts, and I wanted you to say.
Yeah.
I didn't want to discuss it with you yet, because I knew you had to go and do some other things. Yeah. But it would have been like, we need to record this discussion. I get hyped with you, and we want to record stuff, and we don't have it. So Jesse, go ahead. What are 3 pros and 3 cons?
Oh, do you want me to do pros and cons, or we all do pros and then we could all go through and do cons?
We can all do. You want to do it that way? We can all.
Why don't we do it that way?
All do the cons. Okay, so go ahead with your 3 pros.
Well, one, like less clutter. Obviously, you don't have discs and stuff that you're trying to, put on shelves and things like that. That's a pro. You don't have to worry about like scratched or damaged discs, not playing properly, things like that. And then also, like with the, and I brought this up with you, one of the big things about especially the Series X is the ability to stop playing one game and start up another one, and then start up another one, and then start up another one, and then go back to that first one and go back to. Now that doesn't work if you have to keep on switching out a disc. So that stuff like that, features like that wouldn't be used.
Was it that the fast start or fast track, or was that?
It's the what did they call it? The fast resume or something like that.
Oh yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So features like that would be usable, but I don't see them unless they haven't told us yet that, hey, you don't need a disc to play games anymore. I don't know, like that. That just one in concept wouldn't work if you're having to switch. I mean, it could, but you'd be having to get up. But okay, what game do I want to go to now? Okay, I got to put that disc in. So like, those kind of features and things like that are gonna be much more usable and give you that kind of experience that you just won't be able to use if you had to keep on putting a disc in. Or you could, but it would just be very tedious and kind of completely go against the whole purpose of what those features are for.
Oh, so everybody, this is breaking news. Persona 4 Golden is out on Steam now for $19.99.
Oh.
Yeah. So they, I think Alice just announced it. So that's breaking Boss Rush news.
I saw somebody tweet out, like retweeting that, and said, "Did Atlas just forget that the Switch existed?"
Right.
Yeah. Is that all for your pros?
Yeah. Yep.
Corey, what are your pros? This versus this, or you could.
I mean, it's for me like. The convenience of not having to get up to switch games I mean, honestly, the convenience of being lazy when I want to switch games is very nice. I mean, it's the Netflix effect. Netflix has ruined everybody for, that kind of stuff. But I do kind of find myself in that middle ground of being like, yeah, digital is super convenient and stuff, but Ed, you and I have talked a little bit about me kind of like rekindling a physical collection hobby thing of games that I absolutely love, just in case something happens, and like Jesse and I are both Game Pass subscribers, but one day my internet went out and I found out that if you're not connected to the internet, you cannot play games that you downloaded off of Game Pass, which really sucked. I mean, not that I don't have enough other things to play or own or whatever outright, but I wanted to play Gears 5 and our internet was out and I couldn't because it was connected to Game Pass. So I do have physical discs of games that I do love, like the entire Gear series and Mass Effect and Halo, series that I absolutely love. And then obviously Nintendo has a huge library of games that I just have sitting on my shelf, even though I own a lot of them digitally. So if I absolutely love a game, I will buy the physical edition after I finish it or whatever, just to have it on the shelf. But pros of digital versus physical, I think I just named physical, pro. If your internet goes out and you have Game Pass, you have that physical disc, you can still pop it in and play it. And then, the convenience factor of downloading and going in and I think physical games actually are a little bit cheaper still because stores want to get rid of old inventory so they can bring in new inventory, which I think is a positive for people who are on a budget for games, who don't have to, like, every game that you want, you can't spend $60 every time, right? You'll just lose money, it's just, so I think physical games are cheaper, which is a positive. And then if you're in a bind, right, you can always sell your physical games back, and that's not that you really want to, but sometimes people get short on cash or they need, this crazy time we live in, maybe you're not working, and you need to pay rent or pay your car payment or eat that day, and trading in physical stuff is more useful than just deleting something off a hard drive that you're never going to play again and you can't do anything with. So trust me, there's quite a few digital games I've purchased that I wish I could trade in, and I can't because, well, they're digital. So yeah, but digital, I think, it's very convenient. It's easy to scroll through and be like, oh, that looks fun. Let's play it. Let's download it now. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to go get in my car, drive 15 to 20 minutes to the store, purchase it, drive back, wait for it to install, right? You just purchase it right there and be ready to go. So
a lot of times you can get it a couple of days early,
yeah,
and pre-install it, which is nice.
Yeah. One of the benefits of having Game Pass, I will admit, it is one of the benefits. Come with Jace. What's your pros for this versus discness?
Well, in the hopes that I can preserve a little time, because I heard some of my ideas thrown out already. The idea of preloading games, I love preloading games, especially if it means I can take the next day off and actually play off of work and use my entire day to play the game. As you said, if you're Oh shoot, what's the word? What's the word? But it's just a good idea in general for digital versions of games, so that you can kind of experience it at your own pace, or switch it up if you need to, like you said, with the fast resume. Is it?
Yeah.
I don't have a PlayStation. So I like the ideas of convenience and being able to switch when you want and load it up when you want, not having to wait for the disc to load, as scratch free things, etc., etc. That being said, I think I also resonate highly with the idea now more than ever, especially of collecting your favorite games and having those physical copies. So that is like the biggest pro on my list at the moment, is just being able to hold my copy that I can put my name on if I wanted to, of whatever game is out there. And I think that's a really beautiful thing, personally.
Yeah.
For me, it's definitely the physical, but more in a sense that you don't have to worry about having license issues. If something goes wrong with your digital copy with a license issue and you can't play the game, if your system recognizes your physical version, you're good to go. The pros of digital, though, is with Microsoft and Nintendo, there's a value thing added to it. So if you buy something off of Switch or you buy something off of Microsoft, you get points or coins for you to purchase more stuff. Jesse, when I bought you the digital version of Doom, you got 6,000 points, which is worth $6, and you added, and it added up. When you're pre-ordering or buying something digitally on Nintendo and stuff, you might get bonus coins, which allows you to buy more stuff. I don't know if Sony offers that or anything. I think they have something like that. I just got to research it.
You have to use their like Sony credit card or whatever to get Sony points or whatever to do it, but they do have a program. Also, to that point, the Game Pass quests for digital games.
Yeah.
I think I have enough for like almost enough for a $10 gift card.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, and like that is so rewarding that if you may not even like the game or something, but if you still like got some kind of money back, some kind of value to it to add up, you may be like, oh, I don't get paid till tomorrow. Oh, I got 35,000 points. I could buy this game, or I could get this DLC. Like, that's one of the great benefits of digital. Last but not least, it definitely showcased that games that are in different countries, that you now can play on your system and get. If you could trick your system, if you could order a game from Japan or from the UK physically and put it into your system, then go ahead. People have found workarounds on how to do it on Switch. So if there's a Japanese game that you want to play before America gets it, even though you may have to learn Japanese or they may have some English subtitles, you can literally do that and buy it digitally and not worry about it at all. You could go through Amazon and figure out how to get Nintendo points or Microsoft points through that, and buy their games digitally because of it being region-like. And you might be able to do it with Sony too. But it's good now that with digital and systems being region-free, you could get games early in that native language and stuff, or you could get that collector's edition that they're selling in that country. No one's buying Metroid Samus Returns in UK. Send it to America. Find someone who could get that physical copy. Y'all work out the money stuff, and bam, here in America, you got that physical collector's edition that America didn't get. Trust me, I wish I had it. Trust me, I wish I had it. But yeah, that's kind of some of our pros. Now let's get into the cons. And Jesse, I'm gonna start with you again. What are the cons?
So I did this a little differently in my mind. I'm going to give pros of of the disc one. Like I did where I was doing pros of discless and then pros of disc, like which, and because that means that whatever is a pro for one is a con for the other. So I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm doing a pro of what disc based games are. Okay. Which would be con of digital. Of digital. So with my pros for the disc, for physical is like kind of like you guys said, having the actual product there that you can play without an internet connection, all that kind of stuff is definitely something that you lose from the digital version. The other thing is like, though I feel like it's not a substantial amount more, but like when you do buy it on disc, there is a little bit of space that you're going to be saving on your hard drive. Whereas if you're downloading a full version of a game, like every bit of the information down to your hard drive, that means you're going to have to buy more space, and could end up in the long run possibly costing you money, more money for that kind of stuff on top of other things. And then my other pro is, and you guys kind of said this for discs, is just like you can go and buy a game used, and like 3 years or whatever from the time it was released, and you can get it for like next to nothing a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. So like if there's games that you miss out and you're like, yeah, I don't really, I mean, they're getting better at doing like sales and stuff on a lot of the consoles, or on all the consoles. But still, it's like you can go buy a used version of a game, and it's always going to be cheaper versus having to wait for a sale, on the digital version. So just being able to have it cheaper, a cheaper option, when you go physical is definitely a plus for that. So. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for mine.
All right, Corey, what is your con for the disc versus discless?
I mean, like I said before, if you're doing some digital stuff that requires you to be online, like I couldn't play Destiny, I couldn't play The Division, I couldn't play anything on Game Pass, just because of the way digital stuff works, right? I mean, I know Destiny and The Division are actually really bad examples because you still need to be connected to the internet to play those games regardless. But, I think that's one fault. Also, if a game goes offline, if they decide to stop servers for certain things, and like that's just you can't play that game anymore, or you can't do certain modes in that game anymore. Like we see all these stories all the time of multiplayer servers being turned off for games, and that kind of sucks. It's kind of sad, and that's just one of the things that digital things are going, right? It's if they don't support the game anymore, you just can't play it, right? One day I won't be able to play Destiny anymore, and that's sad. Not that I'll be playing Destiny in 20 years, but maybe I will be. I don't know if there's, Destiny 4 by then or whatever, but it's some of that is really sad to see some of that content go away. And so that's probably a pretty big negative. Digital is also download speeds and patches and everything. Like that's all kind of, you got it. If you have the disc and you bought the disc and you can't get a patch, you can still install it off the disc and play it, right? That's a big thing as opposed to digital. You have to wait for it to download, and if you can't connect to the internet, you can't download the latest patches, and the game won't run correctly or anything. So that's a big negative too, I think. And then But I mean, just opposed to that, like discs and stuff. I have a kid, you know, like if she gets a hold of it and chucks a disc across the room, there's a big scratch in it. Can't play it anymore, you know. So that's another reason why I think
it's inevitable.
Yeah,
it will happen.
Also, I feel like she's the one
in my house that are.
I think she's going to be the one kid that thinks Switch cartridges taste delicious. So.
Well, Kachimis, what you think is the con for disc versus discless?
I think the really big con for discless is much like any one game kind of stops having servers. There's a 0.00001% chance or something like that like, let's say, I don't know, Sony capsizes completely and they can't even run their base, servers for downloading digital games or updating digital games or anything like that. They can't host the things anymore. There's a possibility that those games aren't yours anymore. And I've heard people say this constantly, and I thought it was bogus. But, I mean, there's a little doubt in there, right? A little seed of doubt that at some point in the future, that game's not yours. And Sony's like, sorry, we got to take it all back, close up shop, blah, blah, blah. If you have the actual physical disc, that's yours. You bought that, you have it, it's there. You can still put it into the PlayStation and play it. Whereas if something happens to the digital version, it's gone forever. And, maybe you get a refund. Maybe you don't because it's been, 3 to 4 years and you still have just the digital version and that they decide to get rid of it. So that's the one always kind of scary thing that I think about being a mostly PC game player, because all of our stuff is digital. So at some point, if Steam decides like, I don't want to be Steam anymore, then, I don't have a 100 game library anymore, so it can be scary. But it's kind of a reality you stick with, especially if it's a cheaper console. I'm a cheap guy. I almost said a bad word. But I'm cheap with sometimes. So if discless is cheaper, which I'm sure it might be, then that might be the console for this guy.
Yeah. And I actually have a perfect example of your fear. When I bought Quantum Break for Xbox, it came with Alan Wake and the American Nightmare expansion, and Alan Wake and American Nightmare had lost the music rights at one point. And so I had deleted those games off of my hard drive to make space at one point. But because they lost the rights or the license for the music, those got removed. And then they did recently bring Alan Wake and stuff back on, but I still can't re-download them for free because that was technically a different version of the game,
right?
So that I had got for free, and so now I was kind of bummed about that. But they added Alan Wake to Game Pass.
Yes.
So I could at least get it through there, but I'd have to pay for the American Nightmare stuff,
right?
Which is a bummer, but yeah, that's a perfect example of something like that.
Yeah, because I owned the 360 version of Alan Wake, and I think it's everything that the original version was for it. I know definitely one of the big cons is with the disc, there's a chance that you might get your disc stuck in your system, or you try to pull it out, hit the eject button, and it's not ejecting, so you might get stuck with that. Like I mentioned earlier with digital, the Silent Hills demo might happen where you got the demo and they take it off, and you want to have it and everything, but you might cut on your system and the system might update and be like, yep, we're taking Silent Hill off your system. And so now you literally, in order to have that, have to plug that, take it off your system or move it to an external hard drive, and never put that hard drive on your system, even though you need that space for it. And that's also my last thing is the external hard drive. Even though that should be a pro, it depends on who has that system. If you are a little kid and you got a 500 gig system and you need space, well, you're going to have to take off Call of Duty Modern Warfare because that's 200 gigs.
Right.
And you can't play, you only are limited to play certain games. And if you have a set thing of games that your friends play, you got to make the sacrifice. If moms is not planning to put $75 plus some dollars to get you a 1 terabyte and up, you are stuck with, and this is for both disc and discs, you are stuck with a system that has minimum space. And as games get bigger, they're going to take up more space. So even with like a 1 terabyte, stuff starts filling up because they'll get you with those digital sales. PlayStation or them Friday sales, they'll get you. Microsoft sales, they'll get you. Oh, this is $15 off, or this is the Ubisoft sale 75% off. Let me get this. Now you realize that you got not only a big backlog of games, you got a hard drive full of games that you haven't even started yet, and don't even know when you're going to start it. So yeah, Jesse, I had to take Modern Warfare off because it was just like, you don't have no space to put this on. I'm like, oh yes I do, and I took it off because I needed some more games. Games would go before you go. Games would go and the PlayStation stuff, like, you need space for those games, so you got to keep managing that.
Well, what I do is with those games with gold and stuff, I just download them and then I cancel the download, because the second that you hit download, it's you've basically you've bought that game, and you now own it. But then you don't have to download it onto your console right away. You can just have it in your games I own. Then later, if you want to download it and play it, you can. But yeah, I never download them right away unless it's something that I absolutely know I'm gonna play like that week or very soon after. Yeah, one of the things that I want to say about that definitely is a con of the disc version too, that I have, I believe, 4 Xbox 360s in my house somewhere. Like, I think they're all over the place in my house. But I have 4 of them. Not a single one of them reads discs.
Oh.
Because the disc drives.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Disc drives and everything
the 360 ones were flimsy.
Yeah. Well, I have my project Scorpio. I'm glad it happened that it doesn't read discs, because then my friend gave it to me basically for nothing. But the disc drive, it doesn't read discs. My project Scorpio that I have. So my friend, just instead of screwing around with it, he just ended up buying a new one. But which I think I'm gonna go, and because I was thinking about replacing the whole entire disc drive. But I think I'm gonna go the easier route of just replacing the lens, because I'm pretty sure that's what the only problem. Because if you replace the disc drive, you've got to know how to solder and do that kind of stuff. Whereas with the lens, it's literally just a matter of popping out the little ribbon things and take it out, and then just pop a new one in. And you don't have to do any soldering or anything. So I might eventually one day do that once I have the Series X, because I want to wait till I have a console that I can make sure I can play stuff on, and but yeah, because that's a bummer, because like I can't even watch if I wanted to buy movies to watch in 4K, or anything like that, I can't really do any of that stuff right now. I have a whole bunch of Xbox One games that I own on discs that I can't even play because it doesn't read them. So I really wish that's something that they would spend a little bit more money on making better, because it seems like disk drives are a very common thing to go out in a lot of things. Every single laptop that I've owned has just decided to not recognize the disk drive. I've always disk drives are like the bane of electronics existence in my life.
Well, we're gonna hold off on this Warner Brothers sales thing for next weekend, or maybe Arsenal X. We're gonna get into games that we've been getting down. Then I'm gonna hand it you to Kamiji's to plug again, and then we're gonna be out because I know we're running close to that time. But Kamiji's, what have you been getting down to?
Getting down. So I decided to take advantage recently of the Games Pass, and I've been playing a whole bunch of different games. You mentioned Alan Wake. That is definitely one of them. Largely because I want to do more reviews of video games as well. So I decided to go back and play Alan Wake. Hellblade I played. A Plague's Tale. I played that. I thought that was a wonderful game. I recently just finished, as of last night, Max Payne 3 for the first time.
Nice.
And I find that to be a good game. However, I find many faults with it. So I will.
But from me to you, Max Payne is hot, ball-headed.
I love Max Payne.
He's hot.
He's a daddy.
Yes. Super daddy that I need in my life. I'm just saying.
But yeah, it was it was a fun ride through Max Payne's psyche. And so as of today, I needed a new single player game to start up, so I started up Dishonored 2. So I'm getting down with them's people.
For me, as everybody know, I finished Tomb Raider for our book club. Very fun game. So I started up Rise of the Tomb Raider on survival mode. Can't wait to play more with that. Closer to the end of Shantae and the Seven Sirens. Played some more Skull Attack. Played Streets of Rage 4. Going to be jumping into The Last of Us remaster on PS4, and I'm going to be playing that hard because I need that game to be done by Friday, since The Last of Us 2 is coming out. Played a little bit more of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I'm trying to find a village, and I can't find it because the pointer thing is not giving me directions on where to find it. I may be a goofball, and I don't know. Boss, please help me learn.
It's been quite a while since I played Black Flag. There's a lot of villages in that game, so...
Yeah, I'm going to be installing Destiny, the first one, and going through that, and get ready for Destiny's 2 new DLC, because Tower Scatro has kind of made a return in a sense, and I'll let Corey talk more about that. And I'm Destiny illiterate. I just like, you did what? The Guardian of Panzercorps, what gun? And I'm just like, look, I bought the game, played it, and then deleted the game. But yeah, I'm going to be jumping back into that. So that's pretty much everything that I've been playing. Corey, what have you been getting down to?
Well, this week not a whole lot. I played a little bit more Tomb Raider, obviously for book club. I'll save that discussion for when we actually have that book club discussion. But I like the simplicity of it. You know, I think it's very simple. I mean, it's a little bit more complicated than simple, but it's just like with all these games that have RPG mechanics and crafting and all this stuff, it's just kind of nice to like, okay, I can make my way through this world. I'll get a skill point and add it to something and just kind of move on, right? So I'm enjoying that aspect of it a lot. I've been playing a lot of Destiny recently again. Starting back like 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I mean, it's been a while since I've been on this show because of the panel we did last week, and then the just trying to get some stuff done. So I've been jumping back into Destiny, and I'm really getting sucked back into it is an understatement. So yeah, I've been playing that. I've been playing some Halo, and then I've also been playing some Xenoblade Chronicles on Switch. Played about the first half hour, 40 minutes before bed the other night, and it's a lot prettier than I remember. Although I know they did do a lot of work to this game to make it prettier, but it's prettier. It's really jarring though to play a 720p game on my 4K TV. So that is a little bit jarring, but I do understand that it is the Switch. It's not my Xbox One, so yeah, I've been playing that, and then also a little bit more of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So I'm juggling a lot, but really a lot of Destiny. Honestly, I've been playing with friends, reconnecting with friends that I haven't talked to in a while, and it's been fun. I've been diving into like some lore stuff and reading about characters and locations and just kind of what's happening in the world, since I kind of haven't really been keeping up like I used to with what's happening in the story. And I know like the seasonal stuff has added a bunch of things, and now that they're doing kind of live event type stuff, it's more of an investment than it used to be, and that the investment in Destiny was very large in the first place. So yeah, really enjoying getting back into that world and seeing what's changed and what's happening, and seeing friends. So that's kind of it though. So.
And Jesse, which have you began down to?
I've also been going back into Destiny. I've played quite a few times. There's some like I've been working on trying to get some weapons and things like that, and then also like I wanted to go back in.
Better get them now because they're taking a lot of them out.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to go back in just to kind of see some of the newer stuff, and like I played the beginning of this new, the new storyline stuff, because they kind of like right when you load up the game, they force you into playing a first or campaign storyline thing that you have to do right away before you connect. Yeah. Which I really liked, and I'm like honestly like I don't know, Corey, if you're planning on playing tonight at all.
Yes, I am. I'm going to stream tonight actually. Because
I'll play with you actually.
Yeah, because we still need to.
I really want to play it.
We still need to finish the Shadowkeep campaign for you because you're a little bit behind me, and then I know my friend Mitch might play with us.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been getting sucked back into that too, because like now it kind of feels like I'm going into the game and there's just a lot more to do, because for a while there it was like, other than like just leveling up my character or trying to get certain other kinds of guns, it just kind of was like I finished the story and then it was just like a lot of grinding. But now it's like not only do I have story, but when I grind, there's just so much more stuff that I could have the potential to unlock that it's just rewarding now every single time I play it, no matter how long I play it for, right? So it's a perfect time really to be getting back into that, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like you said, Corey, about the Tomb Raider that we're playing for book club.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I've obviously been playing that as well, but it's also the same way I feel about Minecraft Dungeons. Like that game is just so good. Like it's just It's not too difficult. It's not too overly complicated with things you're trying to, figure out and all that stuff. It's just a good game that you can just pick up, play for a little while, enjoy yourself, and and be done with it for the day. And like it's just a perfect like game to play if you don't you're not sure what you really feel like playing. And so like I've been playing that occasionally. My both of my kids have been playing it. My son Max mostly has been playing it because he just absolutely loves that game. But so yeah, I've been playing that a little bit and still enjoying that. It's a lot of fun. It's just good actiony fun, and you don't have to do too much stressing or thinking, which is nice sometimes. And then the other thing, I haven't gotten a lot further into it, but I really want to once I finish Tomb Raider. I'm almost done with Tomb Raider, but I want to get back to Maneater. Because that game is just so fun and just goofy. It's a lot of fun. So I can't wait to get back into that more and just see what kind of goofy, chaotic, mess that game has to offer. Because that game is just so much fun, and just the direction they went with the humor of it, like making it this whole like fishing show type thing. Is just great. So
a sharp PG. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Well, everybody, that is going to be it from Boss Rush for the podcast. Comic G, thank you for joining us. Go ahead and plug. Where can we find you at?
Of course. So you can find me at Comic J's Gaming on Twitter. You can find the Weekly Cooldown on Twitter as well at WK Cooldown. I have the website wkcooldown.com. There's a Facebook page. Basically, if it's not the Weekly Cooldown, it's WK Cooldown somewhere on the internet. So yeah, check that out.
Yeah, it's on Anchor FM. I've been listening to it. It is so good.
Review on iTunes. Thanks.
5 stars. Corey, where can we find you?
You can find me at I am Corian HD on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find me at Corian HD on Twitch and Mixer, and you can also find me on Nintendo Power Block, our Nintendo podcast, and Arsenal X, our Xbox podcast.
Yes, Jesse, where can we find you?
You can find me almost everywhere as Phantom NXS.
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThatFrederickCode. You can check Optional Opinion on SoundCloud and other podcast apps. Check out World 11 Podcast on Podbean. Do check out 1v1. I interviewed Devin Cox, so you guys can check that out. We got more 1v1s coming out. Check our, like I said, PlayStation 5 reveal and reactions. And yes, a happy Pride Month to everybody who celebrated. Yeah. Yes, I'm so happy that we got to do this episode. Comic G's, they call me Jace. I don't know why I say G's. I apologize. Comic Jace, thank you for coming on. Thank you for having this discussion with us. You are always welcome to come to Watch Rush Games. Please stay awesome and amazing. I love you and everything. And we'll have to touch down. You'll have to come on Optional Opinion, and we're going to have to just literally go in on the topic. And yes, and have fun. Once again, thank you, Corey. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, everybody who has checked out the Black Lives Matter panel and send us some thoughts and everything. Thank you guys for all of that. But with that, everybody, we will see you next time on Boss Rush Podcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
So
goodbye.